Um, our next presenters with Gensler, and actually Gensler, our next presenters, I should say, are with Gensler. And Gensler is actually the recipient of 2 awards this year. They received recognition for first place for their work on the Johson Controls headquarters building in Glendale, Wisconsin. And they received a special citation for their work on the PNC Bank building here in Washington on 17th Street. That citation was for their company's efforts to help them go beyond green. The presenters for these projects are Brian Vitale and Katie Messia. I hope I got their names right.
Well, thank you. Just like everybody, we're very appreciative of this honor and a chance to share some of the work that we're doing. These 2 projects, one here in D.C., and then the first one you're going to see is actually in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, are projects that are very different but similar, linked together, of course, by the sustainable nature of them. One is for a company headquarters, so very specific to that company and their identity. The other is more of a speculative project, so a multi-tenant, so a little bit more generalist in its nature. So the first project is, I'm sorry, am I doing just that? Oh, okay. No? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, here we go. Oh, I screwed it up. There we go. Thank you, sir. Okay, so this is Johson Controls. This is the original building. Actually, Johson Controls is a Fortune 100 company. They do everything. We talked about this a little bit earlier. If you drive a car, their battery is probably in your car. You just don't know it. They just don't put their name on anything. If you have a garage door opener, it's probably theirs. And a lot of controls, I would guess, even in this building, are probably Johson Controls, which is where they made their name with environmental controls for buildings. They are also at the forefront of building system automation. So you can imagine this was actually a fun client to work for. All the drawings pretty much said supplied by owner, which made it very easy to meet the budget. The campus is not really. The campus was designed in the early 60s, and it wasn't done for them. They actually purchased a company in the 80s, the Globe Battery Company, and took over this site, although they've always been out of Milwaukee. And this building is the original executive building, which it's still used as, and you can see as it sits in the pond, and it's sort of a very beautiful space there. These are the 3 requests that they gave to us. One was to be LEED Platinum, and we sort of challenged them on that. And with the new buildings, we certainly understood that. We challenged them to take the old buildings that they had and turn those into LEED Platinum as well. So the outcome of this is that we actually have 6 buildings on the campus LEED Platinum now, which makes it the largest grouping of LEED Platinum buildings in the country. At least that's what we're told. I'm sure that'll change eventually. Somebody will eclipse that. We want it to be harmonious with the existing modernist vocabulary. As you saw, that building was done in the 60s, very sort of clean modernist vocabulary, and then provide an identity to the battery division, which is really the headquarters we were working on, and they do everything from the old-fashioned lead acid to the new lithium-ion batteries. So this is the campus. The campus itself is, the new portion, I should say, that we did was over 500,000 square feet. The overall campus, I think, approaches over 600,000 square feet. The little building that you saw earlier was right here. The approach is coming from the south here to the north, so that's the executive building. You can see it sitting in this beautiful pond here that was existing. These were 2 actually manufacturing buildings that were converted now into office buildings. The new portion is this building here called the Link building, which links the 2 campuses. Prior they were not linked together, and provides all the amenities for the campus. And then the new headquarters for the battery division, which is their fastest growing division, is here. And then you'll see here the parking structure that holds over 400 cars. I'll talk about why we did that. And a laboratory building here where they do a lot of testing and research. And this actually is a tributary of the Milwaukee River, which was there, of course. And I think you'll see in some future slides how we really look at the difference between the way these 2 things were handled. And then, of course, some surface parking, which was existing, but we did some change to. And then, oh, I'm sorry, this is the solar field up here. So, of course, we tried to stay local with our materials, and we're successful with that. When you live like here in a major metropolis, it's pretty easy to do that, but we tried to stay pretty rigorous with that. So this is the aerial of the campus. Just to reiterate a couple things, here's that solar field, which is the largest solar field right now in the Midwest. Here is that tributary, and we talked a little bit about the difference between that body of water and this one, and in that this is sort of the true modernist way of dealing with nature, is you sort of conquer it and you make it perfect. I think what we tried to do here was be a little bit more respectful as to what was there and work around it and use it as sort of a focal point. So I think it's sort of an interesting way that the times have changed. This is a new body of water actually that we added to deal with some of the runoff concerns. Because this is a tributary, we actually couldn't let any rainfall run into there. So although it seems natural that if you have a body of water you just let everything spill into it, we actually had to do the reverse and keep it away from there. And then below this is a large geothermal field. There's a walking trail, as you'll see, and I'll go through some of the numbers in a little bit. And then here's the first building we're going to look at is this building right here for the battery division. And you can see there is a small green roof. It's a little bit silly to do the green roof when you have all this green around it, but actually we did it more for the insulation purposes in that area, because that's actually a building that becomes a bridge. So here's the floor plan again, the small building linked together with bridges over the water. That was all existing. The two manufacturing buildings that have now turned into office, the link building, so everybody comes this way through to the parking structure and back, and this is where that body of water is. This has a cafeteria, has an auditorium space, has a fitness center, and a large kitchen and shipping and receiving. And then the new Power Solutions building for their battery people is here. And so we're going to show some images coming in this way, eventually coming through here, looking back at the water, and then you'll see some pictures of the remainder of the building. So the building itself is it's a two-story building, very simple, clean-lined building. You can see here limestone was used. It's actually a rain screen, so the entire building, the entire new project was rain screen. And that was really important for a number of reasons. One, we tried to move the insulation as far out as possible so that we dealt with any mold issues, condensation, and just had a better performing thermal envelope. And then you see here, which is really the defining element of this building, the solar screens here. The building, unfortunately, is oriented in the north-south direction rather than the east-west, so we didn't have a beautiful south facade on this where you can more easily control the sun, but rather had to deal with the east and west light. So in that case, we went with these vertical two-story fins made from recycled metal, and they really turned out just beautiful. So here's an image of the building upon entry. This is actually the entry here. Here's the garage, and then here's the office building. This is actually the short side, so it's much longer than this when you see the other side. You see the rain screen here, and of course those fins that come down this way. There is underfloor air in this, so the sort of sandwich between floors is almost 5 feet deep, so it's a deep sandwich, so that's where that dark line is coming from. This is the entry. So you were outside here just a minute ago, now you're coming in. We tried to really key on, the idea of being sustainable. I think means a lot of things, and one is to give people a view of light. The campus that they had prior to this, on this campus, they had really very few windows. We tried to make it that in any direction you look, you were able to see light, but with that you had to control it. So dealing with how that light comes in and how the energy is used, both for daylighting, so you're saving energy, but also for heat. Was very important, and the shadows here are always great throughout the day. So this is one of my favorite shots. I told the story earlier. This building, as I mentioned, they have the building is very smart, and it knows when it's daylight outside that it should turn the lights off, and it knows when it's daylight on that side that they should bring the curtain or the drapery and curtains down, the Mecco shades. And there really are no light switches. And so when we were doing the photography for this building, and this is a good lesson for all of you because you're all going to be dealing with this since all our buildings are going to be smarter and smarter, we wanted those Mecco shades to be up and we wanted that light on, and that took about 3 hours to figure out because there's really no light switch. The building knows, and it's sort of the HAL syndrome of you want it to do something and you get it to do it and then it overrides you. As I joked with earlier, the magic of Photoshop, when that light came on, we shot it and then just pasted it in there. But as you know, that's a really expensive light, so we had to get that shot. This is the Link building here, and I'll talk about, this space has this really big light monitor, which is where that light is coming from. And you can see the light monitors here as well. I'll talk about that in a minute. But really, we put those anywhere that there was public space. One of the grand stairs on the inside of the building, keeping it open so that, again, you get that vista to the exterior here, as well as the light coming in from above. It was great following the conversation from New York about these stairs, because people really do use these stairs. They're situated directly in the middle of the building, so you can't really escape it. All the conference rooms are around it, so the elevators actually don't get a lot of use, which is great. We sort of intended that, but now I can really say that we intended that. So hopefully they're all in better shape now. And so here you see from the other side, here's that body of water. This is actually a little patio outside the cafeteria, and then here's the office building. There's that light monitor. That original picture was that we just looked at with that beautiful light was right here. Again, you see that floor sandwich there, and then the shading elements in the vertical direction. The reason we used copper color, not real copper, is because of the batteries. And again, they wanted some brand and identity. So rather than just putting that this is the battery building up there, we actually decided that, copper, when you think about copper top, copper is used in all batteries, new and old, that was a great way to brand it. So they tell that story to everybody. And here's a closer picture of them. So they're perforated to allow some views through. They're about 3 feet deep, a little over 3 feet. This is the Link building, so that building's right here, and this is facing the pond here. You can see it's actually a bridge, so the new body of water that we placed to help deal with some of the runoff comes here, and really doesn't connect to it. It's a little bit of an optical illusion because we couldn't bring that water into there. The only time it happens is when they have overflow, and a 100-year flood or a situation like that. So the appearance is that they're very connected by this little walkway here. And I should say these were taken when the prairie grass was first planted, so it's getting much more lush. That was actually another great conversation we had with their board of directors, that we were going to spend all this money and time to plant a natural vegetation there, and then told them when it was done we were going to burn it all down. And they looked at us and said, well, you can't do that. And they said, no, that's the way you actually restore the prairie. So actually next year they're going to do the first burn, so I'm pretty excited about that. You can see the light monitors. As I said, anywhere we had public space, we wanted to express that on the exterior, but also turn it into a feature of sustainability. So you see these are light monitors that bring light into the cafeteria area there, which incredibly reduces the amount of lights that they need on the interior. Here you can see there's that patio, the light monitors on top, the rain screen system. Here's that tributary that goes actually underneath the building through a culvert there. And here's the other bridge. Here's the interior with one of the light monitors lit up right now, and there's 3 of these in this cafeteria. And again, everything is focused on that tributary, so a large wall of glass facing north, so that you can see out to that space.